Hello everyone, and welcome to the first 0.58 experimental release. This was released on July 1st, and we're going to be looking at the changes and kind of a showcase of the first experimental release of 0.58. Now there will be more iterations of this update, of course, as this is the only first iteration, and there will be more versions of this. It will continue to get updated before hitting stable. But what you're looking at here is the new UI, which has actually been used in the past in other experimental updates, but is now back in 0.58. And it is suggested that people, test it out and mess around with it a little bit. It is not set by default, so you will have to do here to actually activate it is go to your Steam, go to DayZ, right click that, go to properties, set launch options, and then type in new UI. I will have that command posted in the description as well, so you can just copy it and paste it into your launch options to get that new UI up and going. I did also want to add that this is experimental, this is a new UI that's being tested, and that's why it's not there by default. That's why you have to go into the launch commands and add it. So if you do add this, yes, there are some bugs with it, but you are testing the new UI on experimental, and the developers do know about the bugs in there from the player feedback that they have been getting so far. So yes, you might see some bugs, but I think it's still pretty cool to actually test this out. So let's get right into the game. So one quick thing that's already new, as you can see there, I actually spawned in somewhere I've never spawned before, and that is Komarovo. This is way southwest on the map, as you can see there, not too far from Belota, and I've never spawned here, so I'm assuming this is a new spawn point. This was the first place I ended up spawning in on the 0.58 experimental. This here also gives you an idea of how the new UI looks in game. This is the inventory when you hit tab. Now all of this will be probably changing in the future. This is only the first iteration of it, and they are looking at feedback and changing according to that. So this is just a quick idea of how it will be. You can see here the inventory is a lot different. Also, the new third-person camera is in the 0.58 update. It has made a return. It was in a previous experimental, I believe it was 0.57 or 6, and now it's back into 0.58. You can see there, this is the new third-person camera. You can change which side you want to be on. Right there, I just did it using, that was Q to use the left side of the screen, and then E to use the right side of the screen. Also, you'll notice here that the zoom has been increased. So in 0.57 it was lowered, and now it's pretty much increased back up to how it was before that change. Now back to the new UI, and using that to check the player list, you can now see changes have been made to the player list here. You can now see the ping again, and also a player's desync. Hitting escape now shows you a new menu screen, and actually going to your configs will get you straight into some settings here. So you can see the field of view slider is a little bit different. It does have numbers now, which allows you to go back and see what you had it set to. Like right there, I had it set to 37, so there I can know if I want to change it, and I don't like what I changed it to, I can always go back to 37 because that's what I had it at before, and it's just easier. So that's definitely a good change for that field of view slider. A good change here in the video tab is that you can now change settings, and then what you can do is hit test settings and be able to test them out before hitting apply. And of course, if you don't like them, then you can just hit cancel or change them up again and test them out once again. So a very cool change. Definitely glad to see that something like this has been added. And before we move on from the new third-person camera, I did want to show it as you're raising a weapon. So you can see the difference here. Again, I am hitting Q and E to change which side of the character I want to be on. Of course, this is E, so I'm on the right side of the character now. I found that the biggest change with this third-person camera is definitely when you're raising a weapon. When raising your weapon, there is also a new crosshair. You can no longer tear things into rags without using a sharp object. So right here, I'm just a fresh spawn basically. I do have my shirt that I want to tear up into rags, and I will not be able to do that if I don't have, let's say, a knife, hatchet, or anything sharp on my character. Now in the next clip here, I do actually end up tearing that shirt up into rags using a knife. You are now also able to combine matches. I would also like to report that some players were able to find different parts of the USMC uniform, like the pants, but I was not able to find any myself. Vehicles do now have inventory, and the V3S has up to 120 slots. You can now see that your tires have blown out on the V3S. Instead of disappearing, you can actually see that there is a tire blowout. And the cool thing is that you can now remove that wheel and add another one. So let's say you have two V3Ss, one of them missing one wheel and the other one only with one wheel. You can now remove that one and add it to the one that only has one missing. So you can actually get a vehicle working again. World containers have been added, so as you can see here, we have a fridge. This one is kind of out in the open and just kind of random, but I am assuming in the future these will be found inside of houses and might even be spawning loot. So you can see here, this is the fridge. There is some slots in it, so you are able to put stuff in there, and I am hoping that in the future we can also find some stuff in there. You can now use the indoor fireplaces by making your own fireplace and placing it in there, and they can be used, of course, to either cook food on or just warm up. And yes, the chimneys do work. So that's gonna do it for the first iteration of the 0.58 update on the experimental branch. There will be more iterations of it coming up in the next probably couple of days or even next week. So if you do want to stay tuned for that, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button to show your support. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.